Kamala Harris is paying supporters $150 each. How crazy is that? Kamala Harris, her campaign is paying supporters $150 each for their support. No wonder she's able to pack that stadium in Atlanta, Georgia. Well, not only that, but she was giving away free tickets to the Megan Thee Stallion concert. What's up? This is Kaye Saves the Republic, and welcome to Katriots Everywhere. Listen, before we get into Kamala Harris bribing people to support her, and before we get into the big stories of the day and go through this rally step by step because it was crazy, before we do all of that, I want to make sure of a couple of things. I want to make sure that all of you Katriots who are watching are subscribing and liking and sharing and setting the notifications and making sure that this is downloaded for your listening pleasure every single day, for your viewing pleasure every single day at noon Eastern, 11 Central, and wherever you happen to be on YouTube, on Rumble, whether you happen to be on the podcast platforms. I don't care where you are. Make sure that that platform knows how much you love this content so that you can keep coming back over and over and over again. That's number one. Number two, know this. We are going to be launching a brand new line of Kaye Saves the Republic merchandise a little later on this week. So if you get paid on Friday, don't go blowing all your paycheck paying your bills and stuff, because we've got some really cool and exciting things coming up for you a little later on this week in the merchandising department that I know you're going to, and I know you're going to want it because a lot of people have been writing to me and asking about it. Kaye, where can I get your merch? Kaye, is there new merchandise coming? Kaye, where's all the Kaye Saves the Republic merchandise? I want it. I need it. I got to get it. We're going to have it all for you coming up this weekend. So just stay tuned. And if you're low on cash, if you're low on money, don't worry. All you have to do is throw your support behind Kamala Harris and you can earn $150. That's exactly what they're promoting and they're publicizing. They're looking for people to support Kamala Harris because people won't do it for free apparently, and they're paying cold hard cash. Listen to our good buddy Terrence Williams.
Yo, do y'all see this? They are literally paying people to support Kamala Harris. If you pretend like you like her, you can make $150 in cash. She is so unlikable. They are paying people to like her.
I'm shy. I didn't know $150 would be enough. I'd be like $150. That's all you got? Come on. I saw that fundraising haul. Maybe keep it coming. All right, stop there. Maybe then. Oh, no, there's no amount of money. Donald Trump doesn't have to pay his supporters. Isn't that amazing? Kamala Harris is paying $150 per person for support. Donald Trump gets supporters for free. In fact, there's a lot of people out there who spend money to support Donald Trump. Brick Suit. You know Brick Suit. He's the guy that wears the brick suit. He just bought a ticket across the country so that he could attend Donald Trump's Pennsylvania rally today. He knew he had to be there. He's been to a ton of other rallies. He was at the rally in Butler, Pennsylvania when the assassination attempt happened. And he said, should I do this? Should I spend my own money, get on a plane, take that time out of my week and go to across the country to go see Donald Trump's rally after attending so many various different rallies all on his own dime? Should he do that? The answer, of course, was yes, and he's there now. And that's what so many people do. Do you know how many people have spent their own money to support President Trump and what he stands for, myself included? The amount of money I spent sending myself to the RNC because I'm an independent broadcaster now. I'm not a journalist, but I'm an independent, and all these things cost money. And the reason is because there is an idea, there is a concept, there is this golden egg that Donald Trump is promising all of us in the future. If we vote for him, if we bring back the Make America Great Again movement, if we bring back that America First ideology, and if we replace conservatives in all branches of our government. And that's something that's payoff enough. That's payoff enough, but not Kamala Harris. Kamala Harris needs to pay her supporters $150 each, and she's got to get Megan Thee Stallion to come perform as well. Let me show you the ad here. Oh, wait, that's not the ad. That's my audio. Here we go. Let me show you the ad here. This was an ad. This is from Loomer. This is from Laura Loomer's website. This is an ad that was launched by some company called Launch Viral. They're one of those companies that finds people to post things on the internet. This was the ad that I think it's taken down now. I couldn't find it anywhere else but here. But look at this. Launch Viral. Harris for president. Paid post opportunity. We're offering $150 cash paid bonus incentive as a small token of appreciation for those selected. Hurry, spots are super limited. We're asking you to 1. Experience. Encourage your fans to share, like, and follow Kamala. We're asking you to create a post, 1 or more memes only using our pre-approved assets. Feel free to add your own spin or commentary on your TikTok. IG2 would be awesome. Post your content on TikTok, Instagram, or both. Mention Kamala Harris. Hashtags Kamala Harris, Harris 2024. So that's the plot. $150, and all you have to do is tell people you like Kamala and you support Kamala. You got to take their assets and you got to spread their assets all over your TikTok and your Instagram, and then you get money. Oh, and then you've got to tell everyone else, man, I love Kamala Harris and I'm supporting her and you should too because of whatever reason. And that is something that the Kamala Harris campaign probably doesn't want you to know. In fact, there was a Reddit post with this information posted on it. Guess what? It's disappeared. I wonder how that happened. So look, again, if you're really hard up on cash and you don't want to deal drugs and you don't want to ride the pole, you don't want to do any of that other stuff, there is something you could do. And that is support Kamala Harris. It's you know what? I'm going to be honest with you. I would say probably deal the drugs. I would say if you're that hard up for ride the pole because it's better. You're going to be able to sleep at night. If you deal drugs or you ride the pole, you're going to be able to sleep better at night than you could with a Kamala Harris paid post on your TikTok or on your. That's just my humble opinion. I've considered riding the pole myself. So, you know what? Never mind. That's neither here nor there. Oh, speaking of which, should we talk about the rally yesterday in Atlanta? Because it was half rally, half booty shaking, twerk fest. And this is something that's this is something that you got to realize. Kamala Harris has a long way to go. She's got a long deficit that she's got a big hole she's got to dig out of. Joe Biden put her in a big hole. And if she wants any hope of winning, gosh, any state, any amount of electoral votes, and if she wants to win the presidency, it's a rough road ahead. There is not any single electoral math right now that puts Kamala Harris in the White House, and she knows that. There's no support for her messaging. There's no support for the Democrat Party. The Democrat Party has been desecrated by Joe Biden and by Kamala Harris's open border policies and inflation and the high cost of basically everything. Gas prices, home prices are going up. The Fed has not reduced the interest rate. It's more expensive to borrow money. Everything's just more expensive. Meanwhile, you're less safe. And on top of all that, they still want to defund the police and take away your guns. It's a very difficult message to sell to the American people who've been suffering for the past 4 years under the Biden-Harris regime. And now, half of that equation, Harris has to go out and convince people, I think I could do better by myself than I could with old Joe. And in order to do that, you got to talk to the people. And in order to talk to the people, you got to get them to show up en masse. And in order to get people to show up en masse, you have to give them something that they're going to want. Guess what? Nobody wants to show up to listen to Kamala Harris. So you give them Megan Thee Stallion. And Megan Thee Stallion comes with backup dancers. And they have short skirts. And she's got a crop top. And it looks like she's dressed up in a suit. It looks like she's going to be professional, but no, all of a sudden the booty starts shaking and the hips start grinding and here comes the twerk. Here comes the twerk and there it is. And now all of a sudden Megan Thee Stallion and what did they, somebody called this, somebody called it hose for Harris. I didn't call it that. I just want to point out somebody else did. But Megan Thee Stallion, you may know she's got some controversial lyrics. Her songs are about sex and private parts and sex and more private. It's very graphic kind of lyrics. She cleaned it up for the audience, but a lot of people are thinking, maybe these people didn't come here to see Kamala Harris. Maybe these people came here to see Megan Thee Stallion. Maybe these people weren't interested in seeing Kamala Harris. Maybe these people were interested in just seeing Megan Thee Stallion perform. And in fact, there have been reports from several people that were at the rally, TPUSA reporters, other reporters, that shortly after Megan Thee Stallion left the stage, or whatever you call that, and Kamala Harris took the stage, shortly after that, about 10 minutes into Kamala's speech, people started heading for the door. They were leaving for the exits. They're like, look, I gotta get home. I saw Megan Thee Stallion. Thank you very much. It's time for me to go. This is how Kamala Harris ropes you in. I'm shocked that they didn't lock the doors to get people to stay. But apparently they weren't there for Kamala and her message of freedom and unity. They were there to see Megan Thee Stallion and the hose for Harris twerking. And that's all, whatever it takes to draw in a crowd. For example, they did this before. Hillary Clinton did this before. She had Bruce Springsteen perform. I think she had U2 as well. She would get all the big names to draw in the crowds. Bon Jovi was they were huge Hillary Clinton supporters. They came out and did free concerts and free shows so that they could pack the place. And then bait and switch. Sure, you were listening to Living on a Prayer 1 minute, and then bam, you got to listen to Hillary Clinton. And it was kind of a buzzkill, as it was yesterday at the rally for Kamala Harris. And we're going to get into that here in just a minute. Oh, one thing that happened, which was kind of awkward, was the introduction. Kamala Harris, I don't know if she couldn't find the stage, if she couldn't find the door, if she just wasn't ready. I don't know what the plan was, but she was introduced and the camera panned to where she was going to walk out on stage. And there was no Kamala. Well, here, I'll just play it for you so you can see what happened.
My name is Tyler Green, and I am so honored to be introducing the next President of the United States of America, Vice President Kamala Harris.
All right, and then they pan over and they're going and they're like, there's the flag and there's where Kamala's supposed to come out and the camera's there and there's no Kamala. And then the crowd starts to get, they're like, where is she? What? Wait, where's Kamala?
Just a second. Listen.
So that was awkward. That's the best start to a campaign I've seen since Ron DeSantis tried to launch his campaign on Twitter Spaces. Remember that? But remember how we were all kicked out for like 35 minutes listening to that weird music? I was very reminiscent of that. Kamala Harris couldn't even find the stage. Joe Biden, God love him. That guy, he could never get off the stage, but at least he could find the stage. Joe Biden got lost. He would wrap up his speech. He'd say, God protect the troops. And then he'd just wander around. Here he is. Here's Joe Biden wandering around. He can't figure out, does he go left? Does he go right? And Joe Biden has no idea how to get off of this stage. And it happened repeatedly. Joe Biden could never find the exit, but at least the guy could find the entrance. When they introduced Joe Biden, he was there. Kamala Harris, she wasn't. she was MIA. And eventually they did find her. Eventually they got her to stage and they reintroduced.
Now, it's my honor to introduce the next President of the United States, Kamala Harris.
And then she walks out in her blue suit and yada, yada. It's interesting to me because all of the placards just say Kamala. Everyone there is holding these blue placards, these blue banners. They just say Kamala, which is weird because everything else says Harris for president. These things say Kamala. Everything else says Harris for president. I think they've got a little bit of a messaging. They got to figure it out. They got to figure out what their messaging is. Is she Kamala? Is she Harris for president? Is she Kamala Harris? What's it going to be? I think they're still trying to figure it out. They're still trying to figure out whether or not they're going to go with a more traditional Harris for president or Harris Bashir for president or Harris Shapiro or whoever it is she ends up picking. Harris Kelly. There's still some question as to who her vice president is going to be. Although next week they're scheduled to appear together in Philadelphia, or if they're going to go for something a little more relaxed, a little more cash, something a little more friendly, like Hillary did. She was just Hillary. Remember, ready for Hillary. Evidently no one was. Maybe they're going to go that route. Maybe they're going to go ready for Kamala. In fact, Kamala Harris is stealing a lot of things from Hillary Clinton's playbook. Not just the blue pantsuit. She's got she looked like she raided Hillary Clinton's 1998 wardrobe yesterday. She had the blue pantsuit on. She came out. She was ready to go. And then she did something else that Hillary Clinton is well known for. She started to talk in an urban Southern kind of drawl because she was in Atlanta, Georgia, an urban Southern town. And I guess she felt she needed to match her dialect to the dialect of her audience.
The path to the White House runs right through this state. And you all helped us win in 2020, and we're going to do it again in 2024.
Yeah, she became street all over. Kamala Harris became street. Y'all helped us win in 2020. You're going to help us win again in 2024.
The path to the White House runs right through this state. And you all helped us win in 2020, and we're going to do it again in 2024.
I mean, it's really, and that is straight out. That is straight out of Hillary Clinton's playbook, because we all know Hillary Clinton was totally railroaded for doing the same thing during her 2008 campaign.
I don't feel no ways tired. I come too far from where I started from. Nobody told me that the road would be easy. I don't believe he brought me this far to leave me.
That is the most awkward thing. I don't feel no ways tired. I don't feel. Was that? That's Cleveland, right? That was a James Cleveland. I forget. I even forget. I just, I know that was a popular song that had very deep meaning to the particular crowd of people that Hillary Clinton was speaking to. But now I can't even. Now I just think it's Hillary Clinton trying to pander to African-American voters.
I don't feel no ways tired.
I mean, I just can't. And now Kamala Harris is doing it too.
You all helped us win in 2020, and we're going to do it again in 2024.
I mean, is that the thing? If you go to Atlanta, Georgia, and I was on the air in Atlanta, Georgia. I was on the air in Athens, Georgia. We were all over the South. If you go to a Southern town, or if you're doing a live event in a Southern place, if you have an ethnic audience, if there's black people in the audience, do you have to get this Southern accent going? Is that part? Am I doing it all wrong? Do I need to do two shows? One where I speak like me, and another one where I speak like this? And I say, Kamala Harris is out and she's talking like a weirdo again.
You all helped us win in 2020, and we're going to do it again in 2024.
I mean, can't we just all be ourselves? I don't know. Anyway, but that wasn't even the worst of it. Then she launched into her speech. Oh, and by the way, last week I played for you the speeches Kamala Harris did back to back, where she was in Wisconsin one day and she spoke. I'm sorry, she was in Delaware one day and she spoke, and she said, I know Donald Trump's type. And she thought the speech was so good that she did it again the next day in Milwaukee, and we played them back to back, and it was phenomenal. Well, guess what? She did it again. I'm not going to play it again, but she did the same speech, the same clip, the same words, exact verbatim, yesterday at her rally in Atlanta, Georgia. So clearly that is going to be the brand new, unburdened by what has been. That and the weird is going to be the other thing, because she brings that up. She brings that up too. But anyway, so Kamala Harris is out there and she's got to play to the crowd. She's got to get those black voters back, because they're abandoning Joe Biden and the Democrats Party left, right, and center. They are out the door, man. Nobody wants anything to do with the Democrat Party if you're a black American voter. And so she brought in Megan Thee Stallion, and she brought in Quavo was another performer, and then she quoted Quavo in her speech.
Donald Trump, on the other hand, has been talking a big game about securing our border, but he does not walk the walk. Or as my friend Quavo would say, he does not walk it like he talks it.
Which is what it's a song. That's a Quavo song. He doesn't walk it like he talks it. Which, I'll be honest, that's the first time I've ever heard anyone I ever heard of Quavo. Number one, I thought I thought she was saying Cuervo at first, and I was like, oh, Jose, I love that guy. But she was saying Quavo, and Donald Trump doesn't walk it like he talks it. And then she launched into just all of these ridiculous lies about the Republican Party and Donald Trump and his campaign and what the Republicans want to do when they win back the White House, the Senate, and retain control of the House of Representatives. And again, this is where it gets really troubling, because there's no one there to fact check her. There's no one there to say that's not true. There's no one there to say, what the hell are you even talking about, lady? And she rolled through all of these, I guess, freedom. These are freedoms. The whole campaign, remember we heard Pete Buttigieg talk yesterday. He talked about how Kamala Harris's campaign is all about freedom.
Namely freedom. I'm so glad she has made freedom the theme of her campaign, because I think in so many ways that's what's at stake. And yes, women's freedom is Exhibit A after Donald Trump demolished the right to choose.
Yeah, and then he started talking about how a woman's freedom to abortion and to kill babies is also beneficial, not just to women, but to dudes. Yeah, I know this is a weird, convoluted thing that Pete Buttigieg came up with, but freedom is what Kamala Harris's campaign is all about. And she wants to get back the freedoms that apparently no longer exist.
Across our nation, we are witnessing a full-on assault on hard-fought, hard-won freedoms and rights.
There's an assault on hard-fought and hard-won freedoms and rights. Now, I know what you could be thinking, what could those be? Is she talking about during the pandemic when the Democrats forced us all to stay home and not work and wear masks? And if we wanted to work or go to a federal piece of property, you had to be vaccinated. Is that the kind of freedom she's talking about? Is she talking about the freedom to vaccinate or not vaccinate? What kind of freedom is she talking about?
The freedom to vote. The freedom to be safe from gun violence. The freedom to live without fear of bigotry and hate.
The freedom to vote? Is voting a freedom? The freedom to live free of gun violence? The freedom to live free of bigotry and hate? I don't remember those free. I'm pretty well versed in the Constitution and the Bill of Rights, but I don't remember. I know there's freedom of religion, freedom of the press, free speech is a big one. That's a big one. I know that there's the right to us peaceably. Hang on. What was it she said again? There was freedom to live against gun violence?
The freedom to vote. The freedom to be safe from gun violence. The freedom to live without fear of bigotry and hate.
Okay, hang on one second. Let me just check. Let me just double check here. I got let's see, freedom, no law, no, Congress shall make no law respecting establishment of religion, nope. A well-regulated militia, oh, that's a good one. Yeah, there's nothing about the freedom to vote or the freedom to live free of gun violence or the freedom. I don't know what she's reading, but it's clearly not the Constitution. But there's even more. I digress. She's got tons.
The freedom to love who you love openly and with pride.
I know that one. There's no Congress shall make no law abridging the right to love who you love with pride. Now that's 100. Yeah, that's not 100% not in the Constitution of the United States of America. And then after that, then she just basically got possessed.
And the freedom of a woman to make decisions about her own body and not have her government tell her what to do.
I feel like I was watching a prosperity preacher there for a minute, man. And the freedom to do with your own body or what you want to do. It was crazy. It was like I thought she was going to start speaking in tongues and handling serpents and, levitating and all that other crazy stuff that you see in those Mountain Baptist kind of churches. And if there's any Mountain Baptists listening, I mean, no offense. I mean, you guys do some amazing things. What with the handling of the serpents and the speaking in tongues and the levitation. And so I'm just not my, it's not my bag. But man, she was all into it. She was crazy about it.
And the freedom of a woman to make decisions about her own body and not have her government tell her what to do.
Man, and the paid crowd behind her loved her. They were earning their $150, weren't they? Those people, they were earning their $150, and she was so excited with her message. She was so enthralled. And then she went into this is interesting. Now, this is where it gets a little weird, okay? This is where I can't really follow along. This is where it gets kind of murky for me. And again, I'm not a Democrat. I don't understand how they think. I don't know what's going through their minds. I don't get it. I don't get the whole Democrat thing. I don't know why Megan Thee Stallion is a good symbol of your party or the kind of draw you want. I go to Trump rallies where they play God Bless the USA by my good buddy Lee Greenwood, who I'm on a first name basis with. I don't know if I told you guys that, but at the RNC, I think I did. The first day, they came over and they said, hey, Lee Greenwood's coming around. Would you like to interview him? And I said, 100% I want to interview Lee Greenwood. He's God Bless the USA. And Lee Greenwood came around and I interviewed him and we took some photos and it was fantastic. Everybody loved it. And then the next day, and let me turn on some more lights here. It's a little dark. And then the next day, I'm sitting there at my desk and Lee Greenwood comes back because he's doing some more interviews and he walks by my booth. He goes, hey, Mark. And I go, hey, Lee. And then I go, oh my gosh, I'm on a first name basis with the Lee Greenwood who sings God Bless the USA. And God Bless the USA is a fantastic song at a rally. And it's the song that Donald Trump plays just before he comes out and when he walks out. And at the RNC, Lee Greenwood was there and Lee Greenwood was singing God Bless the USA. And he was doing it live and the crowd loved it and Donald Trump loved it and everybody loved it. And it was amazing. At the Kamala Harris rally, they twerk. Ooh, I'm not playing the music because it's copyrighted. And I know that if I play the music when I play this clip, that it's going to, but she's talking and she's like, here we go. We're going to twerk. Whoop, whoop. That's the kind of message they send to Americans in the Democrat Party. So like I said, I don't think like them. I don't know. I don't get it. But Kamala Harris here, she's a walking contradiction because she was talking about all these hard fought rights and freedoms that were taken away. And she wants to protect them and save them. She doesn't want the Republicans taking away your hard-fought and won freedom to love who you love. Your hard-fought and won freedom to vote. Your hard-fought and won freedom to live free of gun violence. Those are all the freedoms she's trying to protect. And how's she going to do that? She's going to do that by taking away the actual freedoms that were guaranteed by the Constitution of the United States of America for every American citizen.
We who believe in the freedom to live safe from gun violence will finally pass universal background checks, red flag laws, and an assault weapons ban.
I don't know, maybe she's reading it backwards or something, but only a Democrat like Kamala Harris and a whole bunch of them could say, we're protecting your freedom by taking away your freedom. We're protecting your rights by removing your right to bear arms. The Second Amendment, that's how important this whole thing was. Guns and weapons and the ability to protect yourself from a government or from oppressors or from evil or from anybody was so important to the Founding Fathers that they made it the Second Amendment. The Second Amendment, a well-regulated militia being necessary to the security of a free state. The right of the people to keep and bear arms shall not be infringed. 27 of the most important words ever written. And they're second after freedom of religion, freedom of speech, freedom to peaceably assemble, and freedom of the press. That's how, because without the Second Amendment, none of the other ones matter. And here's Kamala Harris saying, I'm going to protect your freedoms by taking away your freedom. And the crowd is cheering.
We who believe in the freedom to live safe from gun violence will finally pass universal background checks, red flag laws, and an assault weapons ban.
I mean, these are the same people that want to put you in prison if you have a meme about Hillary Clinton. These are the same people that went to churches and arrested people who were praying. These are the same people that broke up peaceful protests. These are the same people that are trying to dismantle every single one of the amendments in the Bill of Rights, and they're doing it by trying to convince you that it's in an effort to protect your freedom. Made up freedoms. The freedom to live free of gun violence? That ain't a thing. That's not in the Bible. It's not in the Ten Commandments. It's not in the Constitution. It's in no written law in any constitution or directive of any state or commonwealth in the United States of America. Nowhere do you have the right to live free from gun violence. It'd be nice to live free. You want to live free from gun violence. Absolutely you do. But you don't have the freedom to live free from gun violence. If you want to live free from gun violence, you know what you do? Get yourself a gun. Get yourself a gun. Let everybody know you have that gun. Carry that gun around with you. And guess what? Probably you're not going to have to worry about gun violence for much too long. But that was Kamala Harris. She did her regular stuff too. She stuck to the script. Look, you got to hand it to her. She's stuck to the script. She read the teleprompter. She repeated the right phrase. She called Donald Trump and J.D. Vance weird again.
But he and his running mate sure seem to have a lot to say about me. Well, Donald, reconsider to meet me on the debate stage. Because as the saying goes, if you've got something to say, say it to my face.
Man, I can't wait for this debate. I really, what Kamala Harris is doing something really, really, really bad. She is setting the bar for herself ridiculously high. She is setting the debate bar for herself so high, no one's going to be able. Joe Biden, God love him, he wasn't planning to do it, but Joe Biden set expectations so low that the first time he debated Donald Trump and the second time, and whenever he gave a speech, his State of the Union address, everybody was like, oh my gosh, if he could just stand there for 90 minutes and not collapse, then it's a win. And sure enough, after Joe Biden gave a State of the Union address, it didn't matter what he said. It didn't matter what gaffes he made. And none of that mattered. All they wanted was, please, God, don't let him fall down. Let him stay standing and upright for 90 minutes. And if Joe Biden did that, that was a success. He set the bar so low for himself, it was easy to succeed. Kamala Harris is doing the opposite. She's out there trying to tell everybody, Donald Trump is scared of me. Say it to my face. You're weird. I am ready to debate you. I will put my record up against yours any day of the week. That's that you should be downplaying it. You should be saying, it's going to be tricky. He was president, he's got a lot of more experience. He's kind of a bully. I don't know if I'm going to be able to handle it. And then you go out there, everyone's going to be worried about you. And then you knock his socks off. Not that that's possible when you're Kamala Harris, but I feel like she's doing herself dirty with this whole say it to my face kind of thing. Anyway, listen, before we get into what happened yesterday in Arizona and before we get into what's going on in the Middle East, because we're like this close. And if you're listening to the podcast, I have my thumb and my index finger so close together, like the closest that you could barely slide a piece of paper in between them. That's how close I am. But we are that close to World War III breaking out in the Middle East because, again, of Joe Biden. Not Hamas, not Iran, not Bibi Netanyahu or Israel or not Hezbollah. It's all because of Joe Biden. And in turn, the Democrat Party, who placed Joe Biden in the White House against the wishes of the American people and the American electorate. We'll get to all that in just a minute. But today is the last day for Christmas in July. And I just have to say thank you because so many of you yesterday and throughout the month of July have been doing an amazing thing for our Kaye's kids. Our Kaye's kids, and again, today we're going to a baseball game, the Jumbo Shrimp. They have a game tonight, and we were able, because of your generosity, to buy 100 tickets. Isn't that amazing? We were able to buy 100 tickets. And we have these 20 dreamers. We have these 20 kids from Dreams Come True, these Kaye's kids. We have their families. We're taking them to the ball game. Hopefully they win, but even if they don't, it doesn't matter. It's going to be a great time. And it's going to be fantastic. We're so excited about it. And these are the kinds of things that we're able to do because of your generosity. These are kids who are in the hospital all the time. These are kids who are undergoing treatments like chemotherapy and radiation therapy. And, a lot of them have daily treatments and just horrible things, multiple surgeries. Some of them have been dealing with this stuff since birth. And at Kaye's Kids, what we try to do is we try to alleviate that pain. We try to take their minds off of it. And we do it with the gift-giving celebrations that we've been doing for 10 years now. 10 years now, again, thanks to all of you and your generosity. 10 years we've been able to buy iPads and Hot Wheels Power Wheels and all these other great computers and trips and all these amazing shopping sprees for these kids who have just been dealt the worst hand you could be dealt. And we also are able to do fun things like this throughout the year, again, because of your generosity. So to wrap up this year's Christmas in July, we're taking these kids to the ball game. And this is the last day that you can purchase a copy of my Christmas book, The Untold Story of Christmas, at a reduced rate, at a massive discount, and with a portion of the proceeds going to benefit Kaye's Kids. This is how we're doing it this year, since we weren't able to do it the way we usually do. You get the book for 30% off the cover price, and a large portion of that goes to Kaye's Kids. And if you buy one book, fantastic. You get the book and you help out some kids. If you buy 3 books or 6 books or 10 books or however many books, you help out more and more, and you get a bigger and bigger discount. And your Christmas shopping is almost done, and it's basically August. So it's fantastic. There's 2 ways to get this. You can go to kayskids.com, Kayes, kids.com, or just type in the untold story of Christmas.com. kayskids.com or the untold story of Christmas.com. And today's the last day. So again, it's whatever you can do, whatever you can afford. It's not just a handout. It's not just a donation. It is you getting this fantastic book illustrated, BT Dubs. Sorry, Keith. And really, I mean, it's a Christmas story, but I'll tell you what, it's not just a Christmas story. It's a parable, and it's a story that you and your family will love and be able to learn from the whole year through. The untold story of Christmas.com. Go there today and help out our Kaye's kids. All right, so yesterday in Arizona, big primary, our good friend Kari Lake was victorious.
Arizona, I stand before you today to officially accept your nomination as the Republican candidate for the United States Senate from the great state of Arizona. Woo!
Yeah, so now she's officially the candidate. Now she's going up against Ruben Gallego in the Senate race, and that's coming up in November. Now there are some people who are happy about this, and there are some people who are not so happy about this, and there are some people who are taking the opportunity to express once again their distrust or their dislike with Kari Lake, with the fact that Donald Trump is a huge supporter of Kari Lake, with the fact that she is questioning still to this day the results of the election. And The Hill is one of those, because The Hill, look at this, they wrote this article, "A winning night for election deniers." A winning night for election deniers. Tuesday was undoubtedly a good night for election deniers. Kari Lake, who has refused to concede her 2022 election loss, won her GOP primary. Abe Hamadeh, a former attorney general candidate running in the GOP primary for the 8th Congressional District, has called the 2020 election rigged and claimed Trump won the state that year. He was leading his GOP rival Blake Masters, another Trump ally, 30% to 23% at the time of publication. Former state representative Mark Fincham, a former Secretary of State candidate who has also espoused baseless claims about the 2020 election, was leading his next GOP rival 45% to 37%, with 60% of estimated vote reported as of Wednesday morning. And in one of the biggest surprises of the night, pay attention. One of the biggest surprises of the night, Maricopa County Recorder Stephen Richer, I don't know how to pronounce it, a top election official who pushed back against false fraud claims about the election, was trailing one of his hardline GOP primary challengers. All in all, the night underscored the extent to which election denialism has taken hold in the Arizona GOP's base. Now, this is Charlie Kirk. Stephen Richer, a top elections official in Arizona's most populous county, has angered much of the Republican base by saying correctly that President Biden won in 2022. Two conservative Republicans are now challenging him in a primary that could reshape how elections are run in the Phoenix area. And look what happened. One of them won. Justin Heap won with 42% of the vote to Stephen Richer's 35%. The Maricopa County Recorder, a very important, here he is. Stephen Richer loses the Maricopa County Recorder primary race to Justin Heap. Congrats, Justin, writes Charlie Kirk. Now, the Recorder this is what we talk about all the time with local politics. Let me come back here. This is what we talk about all the time with local politics. Yes, it's fun to vote for Donald Trump. Yes, it's great to put Donald Trump in the White House. Yes, Donald Trump is the kind of leader we need. But the lower you get down the ballot, the more important your vote actually is. The lower you go down the ballot, the more effect your vote is going to have on your actual daily life. Because Donald Trump can be the president of the United States, and we could have a Republican Senate and a Republican House of Representatives. But if you've got some shady election officials in your city, if you've got some liberal police chiefs or sheriffs or mayor, God forbid, I live in a city where we have one of the most liberal mayors we've ever had. I don't know how it happened, but it happened. And yes, thank God we have a great governor here in the state of Florida. Yes, thank God we have two great Republican senators. Yes, thank God in other districts they have great conservative leadership, not mine, but in others. But we have a Democrat mayor, and the mayor is the one who calls the shots for my city. The mayor's the one who's going to be deciding what goes on in my life. School board, all of those things. The lower you get, and people, and it's sad, but it's true. People will focus on the presidency. They'll focus on the Senate races. They'll even focus on the House, and then they kind of lose interest. And they just start filling in bubbles based on which sign they saw or whose name they think is cool, or maybe, you know, what someone their friend liked, or they don't know at all. They just throw a dart, or they leave it blank. And you really need to focus in on those elections. Those are the ones that are super important. Those are the people that will tell you you can go to work during the pandemic or you can't. Those are the people that will tell you your child must be vaccinated to attend this school, or they don't have to be. They must wear a mask or to ride the school bus, or it's okay, have them come along. Those are the people that are going to cancel your sports and change your taxes and fix your roads. Those are the people that are going to make the decisions that alter your life on a daily basis. Donald Trump and Marco Rubio in my state and whoever your senator, Kaye Lake if you're in Arizona, they're going to do a lot of good for this country. But when it comes to you and your family and your posterity, the local elections are super important. And that's why this election in Arizona is so important. And that's why it's so great that Justin Heap is the new the county recorder in Maricopa County. Because Maricopa County in Arizona is the county. Maricopa County is the county that is up for grabs. Let me see if I can pull this up real quick. County elections, Arizona 2020. You may recall that, here we go. Here's some maps and things at CNN. Let me pull this up real quick and share this with you. Maricopa County is the big Democrat stronghold. And what happens in Maricopa County basically, let me share my screen here. What happens in Maricopa County basically decides what happens in all of the state of Arizona. Okay, so you've got all of these different people. You've got Apache, you've got Navajo, you've got where's Maricopa County? Where's Maricopa? Right here. Joe Biden won Maricopa County by looks like 45,000 votes. Okay, there's almost 2 million people voting in Maricopa County. Maricopa County also happens to be the county where, don't you know it? Oopsie. The 25% of the machines in Republican districts are no longer working, so those Republicans can't vote in their district or in their closest precinct. They have to go to some other precinct. They have to take more time out of their day. They have to take more time to go across town. They have to venture into some kind of Democrat district and decide, find a place to vote and then go get their vote tallied there. Whoever runs the elections, whoever runs Maricopa County is going to have the ability to make sure that the elections are free and fair, or make sure that the elections go the way that their particular party wants the elections to go. And that's why this is so exciting. And the fact that Arizona is getting all these quote unquote election deniers into office, the fact that Kaye Lake won her primary is great news for Donald Trump and MAGA Republicans and America First Republicans and people who want to put this country back on track. And yes, there are people out there in the Republican Party who are not happy that Kaye Lake won her primary. There are people out there that are not happy that these so-called election deniers and fraudsters are now running the political operation in Arizona. But guess what? You're not going to find Fox News calling Arizona before the polls were even closed. I mean, you want to talk about scandal. You want to talk about scamming people. You want to talk about election interference. Fox News, before the polls were even closed, called the state of Arizona for Joe Biden. Now, how does that happen? The guy's already been fired. We know there was a massive investigation, but that is nothing short of election interference. That's not good journalism. In fact, it's bad journalism. It's an in-kind donation to the Biden campaign. You're basically telling people who are standing in line, conservatives, Republicans, people who are going there to vote for Donald Trump, people who haven't yet left work to vote for Donald Trump. You're basically telling all of those folks, you know what? Don't even bother voting. It's all over. Don't even bother voting, folks, because Biden's got this in the bag. You might as well just save yourself some expensive gasoline and go home. And I'm sure that's what happened. And Biden won by 45,000 votes. Imagine what would happen if the election weren't called prematurely. Imagine what would happen if the voting machines didn't go down. Imagine what would happen. Imagine what would happen if all of those things went the other way. Who would have won Arizona? Who would have won the presidency? And there's other states too, Georgia, Nevada. We know about Wisconsin and Michigan and Pennsylvania. And in fact, Pennsylvania is becoming the big one. Pennsylvania, I'm going to bring up the map here because there's a lot of people worried about Kamala Harris. There's a lot of people worried about the Kamala Harris campaign and all of this energy and all of this excitement and all of these paid influencers who are getting $150. There is no way right now that Kamala Harris has an electoral path to victory. Does she have a popular path to victory? Sure, but victory isn't decided by the popular vote. We know that because Hillary Clinton's been complaining about it for years. Joe Biden's been complaining about it for, hell, every Democrat who won New York and California has been complaining about this for years. We're at the popular vote. I won the popular vote. Doesn't matter. That's not how we choose in this country. And the reason we don't choose by the popular vote in this country is because different states have different needs. They have different populations, but they all get a say. So we have this lovely Electoral College. And if you look once again at the Electoral College, you'll see that there's no way that Kamala Harris has a path to victory. This is what's called the 2024 consensus. Okay. The 2024 consensus as of July 31st, meaning this takes in all of the polls, all these polls right here. You can see there's the 2020 actual, all these polls. You can see here's all the, well, I'll close it here. It doesn't matter. It takes in all these polls and they decide what the consensus is. And right now, the consensus map is that the Republicans have 251 fairly solid votes, electoral votes, fairly solid. They have North Carolina here, a little light. It's not the lightest red, but I guess it is the lightest red. They have Georgia, a little light. They've got Texas, not as dark as it used to be. Ohio and Iowa, all these places. But basically, 251 very comfortable Republican votes. On the flip side, you've got 226 for the Democrats, and it only takes 270 to win. Which means, if this map stays the way it is, and the Republicans win 19 electoral votes, Donald Trump is back in the White House. If the Republicans win 19 electoral votes, Donald Trump is back in the White House. Why? Because that's the way it goes. Now, if he wins Pennsylvania, let me show you here. That means Pennsylvania has 19 electoral votes. So if Donald Trump can win Pennsylvania, he's the president of the United States. Now, I know what you're thinking. Well, wait a minute. What if Kamala Harris wins all these other ones? Doesn't that also give her 270? No, it gives her 268. Nice try. Thanks for playing. But if Donald Trump wins Pennsylvania, then he gets 270 electoral votes and he returns to the White House. Pennsylvania is the state in this election. Pennsylvania is the state in this election. And that's bad news for the Democrats because Pennsylvania is no longer the Democrat stronghold that they thought it was. Pennsylvania is no longer the Democrat stronghold that it was through much of the last 20 or 30 years. There have been a lot of things that have changed in Pennsylvania, not just Donald Trump and his assassination attempt last week, not just the fact that Donald Trump is there again today with another massive rally where thousands of people are already in line for a rally that doesn't start for, another 8 hours. Not to mention the fact that Donald Trump has been outpolling Joe Biden and Kamala Harris in Pennsylvania this whole time. In fact, he's outpolling them in every single swing state. Not only is Pennsylvania up for grabs because of all of that, but because Joe Biden has destroyed the minority vote in Pennsylvania. Black voters in Pennsylvania aren't going for Joe Biden anymore. They don't like Joe Biden anymore. They're not Joe Biden fans. And Hispanic voters, forget about it. Was this MSNBC? I think it was an NBC poll. Listen to this. Listen to what's going on with Hispanic voters in Pennsylvania, the one state Donald Trump needs to win to become president.
Take a look. Here's Allentown, Lehigh County. This has the highest concentration of Hispanics in Pennsylvania. It's 54% Hispanic. And look at this. The trend has been toward Republicans. The state was moving toward the Democrats between 16 and 20. But in Allentown, Clinton won it by 42 and 16, fell down to 35 in 2020. This is an area we've talked so much about the polls showing Trump making more inroads with Latino voters. This is the kind of place where the Trump folks think this trend can continue. Can they knock it down into the 20s this time? Could they do even better than that? Again, you'll see it here. City of Hazleton. Look at the transformation of Hazleton in 2000. She was 5% Hispanic, now more than 60% Hispanic. And again, look at this trend. It was blue in 2012 Hazleton was for Obama. And then Trump comes along. He carries it by 5. He improves it to 11. Again, this is the kind of place that Trump folks think they can do better. And again, this is very much a majority Hispanic city. Or Reading, again, this is where George was, in Berks County. And you just take a look right here. It's overwhelmingly Democratic. But look, from 2012, when Barack Obama won re-election, to 2020, when Biden carried Pennsylvania, that's a drop of basically 20 points in the Democratic margin here in a heavily Hispanic city. So the trend in the most Hispanic cities in Pennsylvania, as the state was getting more Democratic in 2020, they were becoming more Republican. So when you think of that very narrow margin there, overall statewide, Biden winning by 80,000, Trump winning by 44,000, these are the kinds of cities where the Trump campaign thinks continue this improvement. There could be tens of thousands of votes that switch just because of that.
And that's probably true. And the Republicans know that, and the Democrats know that. Have you sat and asked yourself, why is it that Kamala Harris is pandering to white people? Well, I mean, not yesterday in her rally when she had that urban accent.
You all helped us win in 2020, and we're going to do it again in 2024.
Not yesterday, but why is it that she's pandering to white people? Why is it she has white women for Harris and white dudes for Harris? Why all the concentration on whiteness? Why is she trying to go out into the suburbs and get the suburban soccer moms? Why is that? It's because the Latino voters are abandoning the party because they don't like socialism. You know how I know? I watch the news and I see what's happening in Venezuela. Communism is bad. Nobody knows that better than Hispanic voters, Latino voters. I say all the time, when I was putting in my gate 6 years ago, this guy showed up and he was a Cuban guy. He showed up, he put in my gate. He was wearing a bucket hat that was red and said, "Make America Great Again." And he listened to my show. He was a big fan. And when he got done putting in the gate, he came up and he said, "Mr. Kaye, would you please autograph my bucket hat?" And I got out my Sharpie and I grabbed what is probably the sweatiest hat I've ever touched in my life. And I signed it and the ink started to run immediately because it was drenched. But it doesn't matter. And I talked to him. I said, "You're a big Trump supporter?" And he goes, "Oh, I love Donald Trump." I go, "Why is that?" And he said, "I came from Cuba and I floated here on trash." And I said, "You floated here on trash?" He said, "On trash." And I said, "How do you float somewhere on trash?" He goes, "My friends and I, my family, we got trash and we got rope and we tied the trash together and we got in the water and we floated the 60 miles or 90 miles or whatever it is to Key West. We floated to the United States on trash and 2 of us didn't make it." Could you imagine floating on trash, losing 2 of your friends, getting to Florida, and then just 20 years later owning your own fence company? He owned the company. And he said, "I could never have done it in Cuba." And I see what's going on with Joe Biden. I see what's going on with the Democrats. And what they're trying to do is they're trying to make the United States of America Cuba. They're trying to make it El Salvador. They're trying to make it Venezuela. And that is not something that Latinos want. Also, fun fact, a majority of Latinos are Catholic, and Catholicism not real hype on the LGBTQ issues of the day, or same-sex marriage, or pronouns, or gender, transgender issues, or body mutilation, or abortion, or any of these other things that the Democrats think are going to win them the election. Kamala Harris has to pander to white people because she lost Latino voters and she lost black voters. And we know, and that's why she's got to pay people on Instagram $150 to post, "Oh my God, I love Kamala Harris." Meanwhile, Donald Trump is cleaning up. Donald Trump is going to clean up with all of those different groups. And Kamala Harris is going to have to go and try to get every childless, cat-loving Karen she can to go out and vote for her in 2024. And unfortunately for her, it's still not going to be. She's going to need to raise a lot more money. She's going to have to make a lot more $150 payout.
Yo, do y'all see this? They are literally paying people to support Kamala Harris. If you pretend like you like her, you can make $150 in cash. She is so unlikable. They are paying people to like her.
I mean, I love him. Listen, thanks. Listen, I gotta wrap it up. Listen, thank you so much for joining me. Don't forget though, Patriots, that we need your support moving forward. We've had a lot. We've grown. By the way, we've grown so much in just a short period of time. Since we came back with the podcast, we have dominated. We've been in the top 200 since day one. We broke the top 50 our first week. Make sure that you're subscribing to the podcast. Even if you watch live, people are like, oh, I don't need to subscribe to the podcast because I watch you live. Subscribe to the podcast, because whether you listen to it or not, it gets downloaded, and that helps us out. Plus, we have special podcasts that aren't broadcast on Rumble and YouTube and X and other places. We have weekend content, and we're going to have more and more of it. So there's some things you're missing out on if you're not subscribed. So please take a moment, go to markkaye.com, make sure you're signed up for the Patriot Network, make sure you're listening on iTunes or Spotify or wherever, and make sure that you continue to help us grow our podcast, because the bigger we get, the more influence we can have, the bigger names we can get. We can bring you interviews again. We can travel to all of these places. We can make sure we're at the rallies. We can make sure we're reporting from the hot spots. We can make sure that on election night, we've done everything that we possibly can to make sure that America is going to be great again. We want to make sure that we are bringing you everything you need to be informed and entertained and inspired and enlightened. And all that takes is for you to download our podcast and listen to all of our videos and subscribe and set the notifications. And also, I tell this to people all the time. You have to evangelize. You know, you go to church and they tell you, Jesus loved you. Here's the gospel. Now we're going to explain it to you so that you can leave here and go explain it to non-believers. Go and explain it to other people. If you have folks who have left the church, bring them back in. If you have folks who are on the fence about leaving the church, keep them here. Share with them the word of Jesus Christ and the love of God and all that kind of stuff. The same is true of politics. You don't have to do what I do. You don't have to say what I say. You don't have to start your own YouTube channel or your own TikTok or whatever you want to do. I've done all of that. If there's someone in your life who you're like, oh man, we're on the brink of losing them to the dark side. I see the decisions they're making. I see who they're hanging out with. I fear for them. I fear that politically we're losing them. Or if you know people who are not politically involved at all, and you know you can convince them that they've got to do what you're doing, and that is believe in America and work for America and fight for America, and it's just going to take a little bit of prodding. I got all the prodding you need. All you have to do is copy, paste, and send. Copy, share, send, share, like, down, whatever it is. All the content we create every day isn't just for you. It's for the people you know. It's to help you evangelize the word of the United States of America. It's to help you build our Patriot Network, because there's other people out there who could be liberty-loving, freedom-defending patriots just like you. It's just going to take you to tell them all about it. Anyway, that's it. We appreciate all your help. We appreciate everybody. We're going to be back here tomorrow because we've got so much to do, so much work, so much fun to have, so much work to do, so many things to bring you, so much news to unpack, so much information, so many opinions, and so much hope that come November, we will all make the right decisions. We will all put in place the people that need to be put in place so that we can all together save the Republic. Right? How great does that sound? All right, listen, I'm going to go get $150 from Kamala Harris.